If there's one thing holding you back from getting sales, it's definitely this. And I think the people around you and the people you watch are just too nice to say it. So please don't hate me for this video. I'm trying to help. I have spent the last 4 years analyzing why people don't get sales. It seems like they're doing everything right. They're uploading to popular websites. They're being consistent. They're making trendy designs. They're in niches that typically get tons of sales. But for some reason, months and months go by and no sales come in. There is only one reason for this. The designs are bad, if not terrible. Again, don't hate me for this video. Having bad designs isn't a deal breaker. In fact, it's a very easy solvable problem. But nevertheless, it is still a problem, and a really big one at that. I used to run a series on this channel called Are Your Designs Any Good? Comment below if you are a long-term viewer or subscriber of the channel and you remember those videos. I stopped making them because I realized they weren't actually doing any good. Highlighting bad designs and highlighting good designs wasn't actually helping people create better designs. So if you are someone who struggles to get sales, yet you tick every single box, then keep watching. It very much could be your designs. And in this video, I'm going to share with you 7 vital, critical things that you need to consider when creating designs. Firstly, there are 3 types of designs: graphics only, text only, and text and graphic. And to be more specific, I'm talking about print on demand here. I'm not talking about if you've got a huge brand or a huge following and anything you slap onto that will probably get sales. This isn't for those people. This is if you are doing print on demand and for some reason you're not getting any sales. Here's a graphic only design. It's simple. It doesn't need words to describe it. This is for someone that loves nature and the outdoors and the guitar. There's a clever reflection to make it look more like a guitar. It's centered perfectly on the t-shirt, it's not too big, and it's not too small. You can clearly see why this design is getting lots of sales. This one is a text-only shirt. Again, the centering is perfect, the font is easy to read. A quick glance and you know what it says. It's funny, nostalgic, and most importantly, it's very simple. And this one is a text and graphic design. Once again, we can see it's centered perfectly. It's not massive. The font matches the handle of the hammer. It's a funny, famous saying, and the graphic is needed with this text to really bring the whole design together. And they haven't overcomplicated it. They've just created a simple hammer as the graphic. They could have done something silly and replaced the L's in drill with hammers or something like that, but the way they've done it is so much better. It's perfect. What I'm noticing with these 3 designs is every design is subtle enough to get the point across. None of them are over-designed. They're all simple and to the point. I'm going to quickly go through these just so you can see what I mean. This first one, Quentin Quarantino. The 2 fonts don't go together. The graphic doesn't look good. It looks like it should be on a textbook front cover or maybe somewhere in a textbook. It hasn't been thought out. The placement isn't the best placement either. The graphic is slightly too big compared to the font. Let's look at the next one. This is technically not a bad design, but I recognize it. It's just been taken from Placeit. There is absolutely zero design being put in there. It's not unique at all. And it like I said, it's literally just taken from Placeit. This is another one. 3 terrible fonts. The middle word is very, very hard to read. It says breathe, but the textures that's been used for it is really bad. The spacing is terrible as well. So you can see the line is huge over here, but very close to the words over here. It just doesn't work. It does not work. This one. So I can't even read what that says. You can have anything you want in life if you dress for it. So technically, it's not a bad design. They've just done it wrong. So it's not caps lock, which makes it harder to read. The top line is tiny. So unless someone is right up in your face staring at this region, they're not going to be able to read what it says. It's just going to look like it says, if you dress for it. What does that even mean? If you dress for what? It doesn't really make much sense. This one, girls game it better. How many fonts? 3 fonts here, because you've also got gamer girl at the bottom. You've got graphics that just haven't been placed well. You've got these 2 random stars. You've got this blob of pink. I don't know why, which is also a different shade of pink to the controller, which is also a different shade of pink to the stars. It's all over the place. You know, it's not centered. It's not done well. Well, actually, it's centered down the middle, but it's not like... It's not done well. And then this one, pizza prank. Again, it could be a good one. Doesn't need the emoji face person. But then the worst part of this design is this is meant to be like one of those funny definition t-shirts, except the definition is so unbelievably tiny, no one can actually read it. I don't know what it says. Even when I go in really close, I can't really see what it says. So there's a few critical errors with all of these designs, and people who created these designs would probably think, oh, actually, I think they're quite good. But they're not. So now we're going to go over some very important factors that you need to consider when creating a design. And I just want to quickly say before we do that, you might think these designs are an anomaly and, you know, I'm just being mean. But if I'm being honest, 9 out of the 10 designs that I would receive were like this. They were terrible. And this is one of the most important steps. If you make a terrible design, it doesn't matter how much traffic you have to your website. It doesn't matter, you know, where you post it or how good your marketing is, you will not get sales. On the flip side, if you create a really good design and you put it out there, people will see it, they'll like it, and they'll want to buy it. And I just want to quickly say, don't confuse simple designs with bad designs. If you create a design that's one word text, it doesn't mean it's bad. You know, it could do really, really well. It could resonate with the right people. So one piece of text, 3 pieces of text, 1 graphic, 5 graphics. We're going to go through these 7 vital things you should try and tick when creating designs, but you'll see why it doesn't matter if it's one text or a line of text. It more depends on these other factors. The first box is funny. Is it funny? Funny is one of the best emotions to hit on with print on demand. If someone laughs when they see your design, they're going to want to wear that because they're going to want other people to laugh when they see them wearing the design. People love being the source of laughter. They love making other people laugh. It makes them feel better. And generally, if you think about your group of friends, the funniest one is most likely the most popular one and the one that people want to hang out with the most. So if you are able to find a t-shirt design that has something funny on it that makes you laugh and will make others laugh, it will most likely get more sales. The second box is relevancy. Is it relevant? When I say relevant, I mean, does the design match the intended audience? Whether it's a trendy design or an evergreen design, you need the entire thing to be relevant to that specific audience. You want someone looking at your design and instead of thinking, do I like this? You want them thinking, yes, I need this design. I want this design. It's speaking directly to me. That's what you want to try and achieve. The next box to tick is placement. Please don't skip over design placement. It's just so easy. So just make sure that you think about it. The best way to do this is to put a 3x3 rectangle grid over your design. Basically, it's the rule of thirds that's been flipped 90 degrees. So it's now a portrait instead of a landscape. Again, if you are doing a landscape design, you could use that. But for print on demand, for designs, what I've seen, what I've done, what I've tested, portrait seems to work best. Let's have a look and compare the rule of thirds with the bad designs and the good designs, and you'll kind of see what I mean. So you can see the difference is very obvious. One, it's really been thought about where the placement is, how big the design is, if it goes from one edge to the other edge, how stretched it is, how far down to the belly it goes. One has been thought about and one hasn't been thought about. The next box to tick is it visually pleasing to look at? I shouldn't really have to mention this one. We all know it needs to be visually pleasing. The area that people fall short on is if you create a design, you might think your design is visually pleasing when oftentimes it's not. Again, I don't mean to be harsh here. I'm just trying to help as much as I can. And I think it's important when you create a design not to be the judge of that design because you've created it. You have an emotional connection to that design. You've been staring at that design for a few hours or however long it takes you to create a design. What you need to do is send that design to someone else and ask them for the honest truth. Don't get them to sugarcoat it for you. Get them to give you their honest truth. if they say it's not visually pleasing to look at, then it's not visually pleasing to look at, and trust them. If you don't have anyone that you can send your designs to, hopefully very, very soon I'll be bringing something out where you'll actually be able to send your designs to me privately, so no one else can see them if you don't want anyone else to see them, and I will be able to give you a video audit of your designs. This is something I've been working on, and hopefully I'll share with you when it's live, and I hope it actually helps people. But above all, please don't just make a design and think, yes, people are going to buy this. You need to find out from other people if it's good. The next box is fonts. You don't want too many fonts. 2 fonts max. Sometimes for very, very special occasions, you can go for 3 fonts. Now, when you do those 2 fonts, make sure that they pair really well together. You have certain font pairings, and you can Google this. It's really interesting to learn about what font goes really well with what font. Sometimes people don't think about this and they just put 2 random fonts in and don't understand why it looks bad. So what I'll say here is don't overdo this. In fact, when was the last time you read a book and randomly at some point in the book the font just changed? Never. Why on earth would it do that? So why should t-shirts be the same? You want the t-shirt to be easily read, you want it to look good, and you don't want someone to see it and then it be broken up with a brand new font. That is why 1 font works really, really well. And like I said, if you are going to go for 2 fonts, you want the fonts to pair perfectly so that when someone is reading down, it feels seamless and it doesn't feel like a break in the text or in the design. And I have to just add, when it comes to using 3 fonts, I very, very rarely see a good design that is getting lots of sales with 3 fonts. Occasionally, if someone is a master designer, they might use 3 fonts. Think of it like this. The same way if you are learning a new instrument like the guitar, I'm not going to tell you to start playing Through the Fire and Flames, which is one of the hardest things to play, or something like that. I will tell you to start simple. So if you're creating designs to print on demand and you don't feel like you are the best designer out there, keep it simple. Start with 1 font, learn about font pairing, go to 2 fonts, and down the line, if it's needed, then go for 3 fonts. The next box to tick is, can it be more simple but share the same message? After completely finishing a design, step back, have a look at it, and ask yourself, could it be more simple? Does it need this many graphics? Does the graphics need to be this big? Do the graphics need to be where I've put them? Can I share the same message with it being a lot more simple? The hammer design that I showed earlier is a perfect example of this. We could make it like this, which could look cooler to some people, but it's just overly complicated. And I know a lot of artists out there get annoyed when they see really simple designs getting sales. But this is print on demand, and simple sells all the time. So look at your designs and think to yourself, can I make this more simple, more quick to understand so that people see it, like it, and buy it? The next box to tick is colors. Don't overdo it with colors, just like you wouldn't overdo it with fonts. Unless you're making some sort of rainbow design, there is absolutely no need to go wild with colors. Sometimes adding more colors is needed. If you are going for a graphic only design or a graphic heavy design, well, graphics tend to have lots of different colors, unless you're going for some flat lay silhouette style graphics. But if you're going to create an actual piece of art graphic, yes, it will have a lot of colors. This design has 10 colors and it doesn't really feel overdone. In fact, the only thing I would change is the purple star thing in the background. At the end of the day, art, design, this is all subjective. In fact, a funny story, when I was in high school, I did art GCSE and art A-level, which is what you do in the UK. And for my art A-level, you take an exam at the end of year 12, which is called your AS, and then you take an exam at the end of year 13, which is like your full A-level. So at the end of, when I finished everything, I was given a B from my art teacher. And then a new art teacher came to the school and looked at my work and said, why have you been given a B? And I was just like, I don't know. And this is the beauty of art. It's completely subjective. That new art teacher remarked all of my work, resent it off, and it came back as an A. So an A is better than a B. I mean, of course you know that. But my point here is sometimes a t-shirt design will look really good for one person and really bad, well, not really bad, but like not as good for another person. I think the differentiator here is when design looks really bad for anyone, that's when you know it's not good. You know, someone, unless that person who's saying it's really bad just has not a single creative bone in their body and they have no idea what looks good, in which case maybe don't listen to them. If you send your designs to people who, you know, actually like different kinds of designs like that, and they wear graphic t-shirts and they understand what a good graphic t-shirt looks like, and they say it's bad, then you listen to them. The principles above aren't there to limit your creativity. They're just there to set guidelines for what generally works with print on demand. If you would like a massive leg up, I'd recommend checking out this video next. It's basically the cheat code to getting tons of sales with incredible designs, and I feel like you'll absolutely love that video. So check that video out next.